What's up, guys? Goat Rodeo Gaming here with another video coming at you with Run 8 Train Simulator. Today I wanted to test the limits of this game, so I made a massive train. Quite possibly the biggest train ever run on a train simulator. That's not saying much, but that'll probably be the title of the video. This is not clickbait. I'm a former UP conductor, have some experience running trains, not an expert, not an engineer. Just throwing that out there. Okay. So today we are not far from Mojave on the BNSF's Mojave sub. We're going west, so we're going up and over the hill. And bring it down to Bakersfield. So we got a bruiser today for a train. Loaded grain. There's our first mid-dupe set. Okay. Let me get to fly mode, and we'll give you a little tour of this bad boy. At the moment, we're out in the middle of the desert. There's our second set of mid-dupes. So we got two mid-duper consists, 5 locomotives each, and then a rear set, 2 units. So this thing equals out to be 33,000 tons. Okay, the heaviest train I ever got in my time at the Union Pacific was 22,000 tons, and that thing was an absolute monster. It, I don't think we'd ever really seen something that heavy. That was coming out of Yermo heading south, so we had to take it down the Cone Pass, and at the time that set the record for the heaviest train ever taken over the Cajon Pass. So, and just the weight of it was it was unheard of. Now, what the UP's been doing is they'd been combining trains. Basically, what this one was, it was a North Platte manifest train heading south to West Colton. So it was the MNPWC. And the North Platte manifest trains were already pretty heavy. You know, they were maybe around, I don't know, maybe 15,000 tons at the time, 16,000, maybe even 17,000. They were quite the trains at the time. Just a lot of manifest freight just coming out of North Platte and heading to West Colton for some reason. And so what it was is it was a manifest train out of North Platte combined with a North Platte auto train. So it's two trains of one. It was 12,400 feet. I think we had 9 or 10 locomotives on it. Mid-train DPUs on the rear, so on, so on. This train that we have today is 15,200 feet, so almost 3 miles. Okay, the longest train I ever got was about this length as well. It was an empty stack train. Yeah, once again we had mid-train dupes. I think that was it because it was empty, so it was just super long. This train today has 231 cars. Yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of cars. It's got 17 locomotives, so we got 5, 5, 5, and 2. And we got a horsepower per ton of 2.3, so it's down there a bit. So we're probably going to be grinding up this hill over here pretty good. Oh, let's see, anything else I'd like to add to this? Yeah, it's just a massive train. We're going to test it to see if it even works. I had to put SP on the point. I mean, that's a must. So, without further ado, let's get these things going. And the sounds of these ES44s are so realistic to real ES44s. They did a great job. Compressor coming on, the generator, all that good stuff. Automatic brake test. So we could do all these in real life, but or I should say realistically, but I've done it before and I don't care to do it. So I'm all connected. Look at all that. 3 DPU lead units assigned. Everything's in run. Okay, so we should be good to go. So let's get in the cab. So we're gonna go forward. Pretty much just release the air. Not a big deal. We're gonna go F5 to release all the brakes. Have the independent on. Go run 1. We'll start easing off the independent. This statistic right here.
I was at comply with your X-ray fan Mapos T59.90.
So I've already run this train a bit just to see if it'd even work. And lo and behold, it does. It's quite strange because when you have terrain that's constantly up and down, typically you would manipulate the air brakes, stretch braking and all that to keep the train smooth. And this thing, man, you unless you're on a constant downhill or constant uphill, you don't have to mess with it a whole lot because it's so long and you got all those DPUs back there. There was a go run 2, see if that does anything. Alright, so we're moving on the rear. Alright, so that went smooth. Basically, yeah, like I was saying, there's a section on this route that we're on right now that it was, make sure this whole thing is loaded. It should be, but I just want to make sure. Go F12. And let's go back in the cab. Should be loaded. Just want to make sure because that got going pretty easy, but we should be on flat ground. I stopped, stretched out. But to get back to my point, there was a section where we were going uphill for a bit. Probably the first third of the train was going uphill. The last third of the train was going downhill. And the middle third of the train was on flat ground. So we had DPUs that were on a grade going up, flat ground, and a grade going down. And I didn't have to mess with this thing at all because it basically evened out to it being like on flat ground. It was pretty trippy because typically I would come down the hill, you'd want to set a minimum set, throttle up, stretch the train out, and as you're going up the other side and you're starting to slow down a bit, you knock off the air, keep it stretched out, and then you kind of crest, and you just kind of keep doing that if it's up and down terrain. And yeah, like I said, I didn't have to do anything because this train's just such a beast. So let's see where we're at. We gotta line ourselves up here. We are right here, so we'll be coming out here very soon on the Mojave up over the hill, and then we'll take this bad boy down the hill. Interested to see that. It looks like we might actually fit in this siding, so we might have to try that. So let's get back to it, huh? Let's try to get this thing going. If any former railroaders out there, comment heaviest train you've ever had, longest train, and what kind of terrain was it? Did you have to go over any grades? Was it flat? I know in the Midwest they run some monsters out there because it's so flat. You can get away with a lot more. Out here in SoCal, there's a lot of heavy mountain grade territory, so that's why we don't get that. And really, what the Union Pacific has been doing is quite risky and has caused a lot of problems with these long trains, like the one I got, because you're going through the mountains or the hills or grades. You lose your connection with the DPU quite often. Um, it just these long trains, man. It just puts a lot of stress. These long, heavy trains, it just puts a ton of stress on the train just in general. So you're getting a lot more trains breaking in half and issues with the cars because they're under so much stress. There was actually a train not too long ago, a long 3 mile stack train, where one of the well cars literally ripped in half. So they, yeah, the in-train forces are extreme to say the least, and they're pushing it. I'm really surprised there hasn't been a major derailment, and that's a sketchy thought when you're running these massive trains through big cities. I mean, if you get a runaway train like that on the Cone Pass, come into San Bernardino, like, not good, man. You're just increasing the risk for something bad to happen. So, luckily, you got some pretty good train crewmen on these things most of the time. So, you know, we catch a lot of things before they happen. And knowing that they are running these massive trains, we're that much more careful because we know the risk. And if they want to play this kind of game, we're going to make sure we cover our butts in that we prioritize our safety. So, that's my rant for today. Yep, they're still running giant trains, but nothing like this. Um, I probably could have made this train a little bit bigger, but I just wanted to see if it'd even work. So, it's just, this thing's a monster. Let's see. Copy player train. Here's some stats. Okay, so I'm not full of crap. So it's just shy of 33,000 tons. That's loaded. We're loaded. 15,000 total cars. Oh, I thought there's 231 cars. I guess there's only 230. And the way I did too is I placed the DPUs in a spot that would be pretty realistic. Now there's certain math equations to know where to place DPUs. Okay, I wasn't gonna do that, but I did place in realistic spots. So DPUs don't go exactly in the middle. DPUs, if anything, go 2/3 typically, or 3/4 maybe, somewhere in there. So that's basically what I did. 90 cars deep, and then 178, and then about the 240. Um, so I think it helps that this train's working pretty good because I put the DPUs in a logical spot in the train. Because ideally you want DPUs to be pushing and pulling. So you don't want them too far back in the train. You don't want them too far forward because then they'd be pushing really hard into what your lead consist is pulling. And then you don't want them too far back because then your lead consist is pulling a lot of weight and the mid-train DPUs aren't making up for it enough to pushing enough weight, which then can cause the train to break in half very easily. So there's a lot of different factors on mid-train DPU placement, and it's something I am not an expert on, but just kind of use some common sense for my DPU placement, and it seems to work pretty good. So I've had no issues with this thing. You just gotta do everything slow. It's so long. You can't expect to, you can't try to stop this thing fast. You can't throttle up fast. You gotta do everything in advance. So, yeah. Not a big fan of the sound of that SD70. Sounds pretty cheesy, but what are you gonna do? But the ES44s sound great. The SD40s and SD45-2s sound great in this game. So our first DPU sets right there. That might be the second one way down there. So this thing's a monster, man. 40 miles an hour. What are we at? 30. Now we're in run 7, and we're not even gonna get up to the speed. So this thing's got some weight to her, to say the least. I'm glad we're getting a run for the hill, because if we didn't, man, we might be in trouble. Another thing you get these super long trains, guys, is you get a lot of drag, and what that is the flanges on the wheels up against the rail. When we go around these curves like this, it creates resistance. The flanges do, right? Because it's not like we're pulling the cars in a straight line. We're literally pulling the cars around the corner. So the inside wheel, there's a lot of resistance on it. So whether you're going up, you're going down, or you're on flat terrain, there's a ton of resistance. And the longer the train you have, well, then the more curves that train's going to be spread out over. If you're going up, let's say the Cajon Pass, it gets a lot of curves towards the top of it. So the longer train you have, the more curves your train is on at all times. Thus, the slower speed you're going to have because of the more resistance. So with a train like this being so heavy, if you were to have a mile long train that's 33,000 tons, it would react a lot better when it comes to going uphill, going across the flat land, than it would with a train that's the same weight and 3 miles long. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. That's something that doesn't show up on the paperwork you were to get in real life, is this drag that you get. So it can rob you a few miles an hour of what you should typically be doing. So another thing to keep in mind, but it does help with going down a grade. You would think a heavy train like this would be a pain going down a grade, but it would actually be, this will actually be pretty easy. We're going to find out, but with that resistance, slows you down going downhill as well. So it works out. Go to the dispatcher screen. We got one almost at the top of the hill, or at least where it's double tracked. So look, we own this block, we own that block, we own this block, and we own that block. uh, I set my alerter as R for reset. So that's handy, because this isn't the most accurate way to hit it. Somebody comment how I get rid of this plus sign.
I was at deck flight with your X-ray fan milepost P5 and I got 90.
So that's that detector we hit about 5 minutes ago. So our rear end just cleared that on that long straight section back there. To give you an idea. There wasn't all these buildings, you could look back and see it. We're cruising through Mojave. We're full throttle, by the way. Run 8. Okay. Now see, the amperage meter is looking pretty good. That's because of the DPUs placed throughout the train, but that's about to go up. So, might kick on the sand, because we're already slowing down. So, I think I'll kick on the sand. I want the sand on, not the bell, man. Because we're going to need everything we got.
They call me on 1 South, he's out there, I got a Z train, gonna leave Caliente in the middle.
I would go back to the rear of the train, but you're too far away to spawn back into the cab, so it's kind of tough. But once we start slowing down, it'll be easy, so. Yeah, the sounds, the computers, all this is like dead on with how these types of locomotives really are. Something I really like about this game is the detail they put into the little stuff. You know, like at Train Simulator 2022, I did a run from San Diego to Commerce on the Pacific Surfliner route. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. And there wasn't even a radio. They don't even have a radio in the locomotive that I was using. There's no alerter. It was just bare bones. There wasn't even a bell button. I'd have to push B for bell. Just kind of pathetic in my opinion. Definitely needs more detail now. You look at this thing, man. I mean, you have all this stuff you can read. All this stuff actually works too. I could change all this. Bell, sander, alerter, got my headlights. Reminds me, I gotta turn these bad boys on. Ha. Whoopsie. You know, you got all this stuff. So, this thing's really accurate. Alright, so we're down to 23. See the amps going up. Because these things got a lot more load now. I hope we make it up this hill. Mach speed, there's the first set, there's the second set. Oh man, we just got on the main line. Well, all of our power's working. You can obviously hear those things grinding. That's a good sign. What's not a good sign is our current speed. That sounded cool. Some of these cabs are pretty quiet in real life, and some of them are really loud. Just never know what you're gonna get. Do any of you guys got the Cajon Pass DLC for this game? Comment how you like it, what it includes. I heard it includes Colton, West Colton. I'd be interested in that. It's just a shame that it's 40 bucks. I think they could lower their prices a little bit. But I'm sure this game takes a lot of time and effort, so I get it. The Lone Pine Branch DLC looks pretty cool. I've actually been out to Trona myself. Trona's that direction. And that'd be neat. Something different. These days, Trona Railway, they don't got those red units anymore, red and silver units. They actually use old SP tunnel motors and some old UPSD 40s. It's pretty cool. And they're still in their paint. Amps are up there pretty good now. Still got the rear of the train. That's a good sign. Time is it? 3:03 p.m. Set the system time. I mean, just look at the details on this game, guys. I mean, graphics, you got multi-monitor. I mean, they just got it all, man. You could spawn a fake conductor if you want. He doesn't do anything. It's just more for look. So you can have that rail driver set up. All these different controls. If you haven't played this game and you're playing one of the other train simulators, just drop those other train simulators and get this game. These other train simulators where it's Train Sim World, Train Simulator 2022, I mean, all these games are just, they're nothing compared to this, okay? And those are all games that I played, and recently I played them to see how realistic they are, and nothing compares to this game. So, I'm not paid or sponsored or anything, but I run 8 Train Simulator. But the gameplay is incredible. The graphics, yeah, the graphics are way outdated. I hear you. You want a nice looking game. But this game will keep you busy. Oh no. So we just got a knuckle. Okay. Great. Great test here. Okay. Great test. We're gonna see where, so we can kind of decipher what we could have done better, maybe with the DPU placement, or not. I'm actually kind of glad this happened, even though I'd really like to take this thing down the hill. So let's go to F12. Go to fly mode, fly like a bird. So let's see where this thing broke. We're gonna look for separation, obviously, in the train. Doesn't look like it's in the first block of the train. Still recovering from a bit of a head cold. Got into my sinuses. It was real fun. No big deal. It happens. Apologize if you hear me kind of sniffle or cough. Oh, it doesn't look like it's in the second section. It's gonna be a while, fellas. Okay, now it might be difficult to find the train break because the DPUs would still be kind of shoving against it. I mean, when it goes into emergency, not so much, but oh boy, I was hoping there was going to be an obvious separation, but doesn't look like it. We're on the underworld. So, I'm going to make some educated guesses here, because this would take all day. If I had to guess, it would be behind one of the DPU consists. That's where it's pulling. And it'd most likely be somewhere in here, because this is where the grade gets pretty steep. So, let's check. Maybe I gotta be in ground mode. Let's just do this. Why aren't you showing me the coupler? There we go. Oh, that one. Guess that one's still good. You'll visibly see it broken, which is cool. That one's still good. Still good. I really would like to find this, guys, because this will tell us a lot about the game. Okay. That one's good. This is why these big trains are not run in real life. Yeah, there's a train I got, like I said, 22,000 tons. I was pushing it, but 33,000 tons is significantly more. 11,000 more tons. I mean, an 11,000 ton train's a pretty good sized train, so big difference. Okay, another possible spot that could be broken if it's in this block of cars would probably be right in the middle. Maybe for the weight, there isn't enough pushing on the rear, so that's where you get the separation. Don't mind me, just blocking the main line. But hey, we're UP trains, so that's what we do. This is why you only run this stuff on flat ground. Think about the in-train forces that this thing would have going up a grade like this, dude. Like, even on a 1% grade, think about how much strain each one of these cars has to compensate for. There was actually one of those giant North Platts was coming down through Nevada in a kind of a curvy area. A lot of A lot of turns in the rail and all that, going down like a 1% grade. And it was another monster. It was like 20,000 tons. And the auto part of the train derailed. It put like 40 auto racks on the ground. As this thing was just so massive. And I was supposed to get called for this train. And looking at the train lineup, since it derailed, I didn't get called for it. But it was like, man, if that thing hadn't derailed there, it would have definitely derailed on the Cajon Pass. There's no doubt in my mind. Way tighter curves, steeper grade. You know, this train had a bunch of hazmat. So, yeah, I might have dodged a bullet on that one, but who knows? Maybe it would have derailed and wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Okay, so now we're going to go to behind the second DP, or the first DPU set, I should say, which is right here. Let's see if we can find any cars. Yeah, I was really hoping this would work, but this only makes me a bigger fan of this game because this is exactly what would happen in real life. So, you know, running some monster train on one of these other train simulators doesn't mean nothing. It means absolutely nothing. I have tested Train Simulator 2022, tested trains with the Z, a new era, and you can throttle up as much as you want and you will not break a train in half, which is ridiculous. I think what they did, which I've said a few times in other videos, is they programmed the game to work. They basically programmed passenger train physics, and then they just kind of use those as the base physics for the game. And so if you want to run passenger trains on that game, it's probably fine. That's something I need to do here pretty soon, is do some passenger runs on like Train Simulator 2022. But when it comes to freight, man, not even close. Not even close. So, I mean, to crush your spirits, not trying to criticize you guys for playing it or the game makers, but yeah, it's not even in the ballpark. I understand these things are games, and you do your best to try to replicate the real thing, but this game, I mean, if these developers can do it, so can Dovetail or whoever else, you know, and those games probably have much bigger budgets to play with. I mean, just look at the graphics and the routes they produce, you know, it's beautiful. So, I hope they step up their game, and, you know, maybe if my reviews gather enough steam, maybe someone will hear it, you know. I actually had a guy comment saying that Train Sim World 2 is the most realistic game. And if this guy that commented that is watching, highly suggest you get this game and tell me what you think. So, not seeing any breaking twos. Okay, this is all on the grade. So I don't see. I don't know if it's in this block either. And why I thought it was that last block of cars is because the timing of when it broke. That block of cars was just getting onto the meat of the grade. So I thought maybe, hey, maybe when that part of the train got on the grade, that's when it broke. But maybe since that part of the train was now on the grade, it put more strain on the whole train in general, which could lead me to believe that it's actually the first block behind the lead locomotives. So we'll have to go investigate. I'm gonna go a little bit more just because I really don't want to. I'd really like to find where it broke. I think that would be cool to find exactly where it broke and then start logically thinking of why it broke there compared to the real life. So we're almost to the first DPUs. Whoa! Man, I wish I could have walked a train this quick. Something I want to point out, guys, is let's say this happens, right? And the break into is towards the rear of the train. So that means one way, as a conductor, you're walking 3 miles. How crazy would that be, huh? 3 mile walk one direction. So by the time you find it, in this situation, they'd probably send out a carman or a manager to help you. They'd probably bring the knuckle to you. And maybe they drive you back up to the head end when you're done. But let's say you're on your own. Okay, you got no assistance. You walk 3 miles. 3 miles. And then you gotta walk all the way back. That sounds like a nightmare. A 6 mile round trip. Whoopsie. The Mach speed on this is very Mach speed. Okay, so the last place I could think of would be up here towards the head end. Good. Good. Be nice if there was like a... Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. So, what happened here is, even though we have DPUs, which I thought were placed in pretty good spot, as this train got on the hill and as these curves were taken into effect, that drag, it was just too much for the train. It was just too much weight, too much strain. So what probably could have avoided all this is if I placed the DPUs, the first set, closer to the head end. Okay. Let's say if I put these more towards, say we put them at the 70th car instead of the 90th car, that probably would have avoided this situation. Okay, and then you move these up, maybe move these up 30, just to make sure, not the same amount of space in between them. And then you might even have to put a third set of mid-train dupers somewhere in here, like 2 units and then 2 on the rear. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Oopsie. The Mega Train, what we're calling it. Now we're back at the start. That's funny. So yeah, these DPUs right here. We should have moved them up. Move the second setup. Cut in maybe a third mid-train DPU. We probably... Copy player train. Come on, bruh. What I would probably do differently is I would put a third mid-train DPU, probably 3 or 4 units, and then nothing on the rear. Okay, because if we put something on the rear, they might be pushing a little too hard onto, pushing too hard into the train that's already being pulled. And this third mid-train DPU set would probably be close enough to the end to where it could pull that weight with no problems. So that's some adjustments I would make. Now I wonder if I could do that. Copy player train. Okay, so maybe I gotta click on this first. Okay. There we go. I can move these up. That'd be cool if you could select all these and move them up. Okay, so 230 cars. So let's rebuild this train. How about that? You guys want to see that? So, total 230 cars, 2.3. And 2.3 is kind of low. This is definitely a train you'd want to have powered up more than that. So, let's clear the freight locos. Something different this time. Let's put an NS on there. SV, SV, SV. Come on. And CSX. First that. We'll go to covered hoppers. One. This time I'll put the first mid train 70 cars deep. It's a little time consuming, guys. I apologize, but I want to see if this configuration will work better. We can get up and over this hill. Without any braking twos, that'd be sweet. Going. Oh, go 65 cars deep. And that would be the 70 line. Okay, so let's add 5 more locomotives. Each time, let's put some CSX in there. 4 or 5. Sometimes this screen is really a pain. Blah, blah, blah. That was 9, so we need one more. Let's put a CSX in there, okay. Go back to covered hoppers. That was at 70. So we'll put these another. We'll go another 65 cars deep. Put us at 135 total. 135 cars, I should say. Total. A bit more. We're testing the game, brothers. Come on. Alright. So let's put another 5 units. Freight locomotives. 1, 12, 13. Okay. So now we got 5 more units. go another. See how many cars we have. 135, so we need another 95 cars. So let's go another 65 cars. Would put us at 200 exactly. Two hundo. What do you think, guys? Is this kind of stupid and ridiculous, or what? Or does this actually interest you? Comment below. Got any real life railroad questions? Make sure to do that. Come on. We got a Discord. Make sure to join our Discord. Facebook. All sorts of good stuff. Really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, commented, shared, all that good stuff, man. Much appreciated. Trying to grow the channel. We can do more stuff like this. I am getting good internet today is the plan, so we can get back to playing some online multiplayer with the other part of Goat Radio Gaming, the old Golden Wonder. So get back to having some fun. So we're going to have 30 cars behind this. So let's add another 5 locomotives. So this time we have 3 more locomotives than last time. Like I said, when I was kind of figuring out why the train broke, probably would have to do this, and we're just gonna do it. I want to make this train work to go up the hill, and this should work, and if anything, it'll work a little bit too good, but then you could probably do with a little bit less. There we go. Now we're over 33,000 for sure. Okay. So to me, this looks like a good train build. Okay. I could break out my system special instructions book and do this legit. And if this doesn't work, I might actually have to do that in another video. Really try to figure it out and see if it's accurate or not. But I would have to see. Okay, so now I gotta delete this train. Now, okay, that train's still up there. That's good. So what I have to do is I have to delete this train. Blam! Get out of here. I'll replace this one. Oh yeah, Black Stallion. That was one of the nicknames for NS units on the UP. Black Stallions. It's a horse. Okay. Go in the fly mode and let's check this baby out. So, got our first set, second set, got our third set. And there's not much behind the third set. It's only 30 cars. And that's why I don't want to put anything else back here, because there's no point to having another duper or two pushing into something this. I mean, this locomotive alone can pull that, and you're really going to have 2 locomotives dealing with that weight if you were to break it down. So I think this is the winning ticket, guys. So let's get this thing going so I don't waste any more of your time. Go through the typical blah blah blah. I'm just really glad that all the DPUs were hooking up. You know, they were actually connected to the lead units. To me, that's awesome. I mean, I think a lot of games would get confused by that. Auto air brake, auto EOT, auto DP. Alright. Now I do want to check the fuel level on these bad boys, because if we ran out of fuel on one of these things, that would really be a bummer. Or a wrench. We'll fuel that one just in case. Okay. Let's go back to this. Fly! Oh, this one, that's got enough fuel. Enough fuel. Enough fuel. Oh yeah, that one's good. Okay, let's check the last set just to make sure. Or actually, the second set, that was the last one. I'm all turned around. Come on, boy. Good. That's good. That's good. Alright, now for the last one. Good, that's good. Good, good, and good. Okay, cool. Back to the head end and keep this party going. Woo! Alright. Let's put her in the forward. Run one. Air. Knock off the brakes. Oop. Went a little quicker than I thought. The air wasn't set up, so that's kind of weird. He's moving. I need to make sure this train's full. It actually might be empty right now. Alright, so now we're loaded. Should have done that before, but I forgot. The good old dispatcher screen. Line us up. Going up the hill, man. Grabbing gears, brother. Gotta do the basics, huh? Alright. Got good headlights. Not really. Port hood. Blam. Try that. That's better. Man, these things sound so good. So what was our horsepower? 2.7. Okay, so we're 0.5 better. So that'll help us a lot. So if we're going to have a successful journey, this would be the train right here. I think we got a good build. I think that everything is probably as good as it can be, except for me actually doing the the real mathematics and seeing if it makes a difference. but we're gonna give it a go, brothers. Seems like we're already moving a lot better than last time. It's because we got more power. Got 3 extra units, so that's cool. So first duper set, 20 cars closer. That's a significant amount of weight.
5 o'clock, right over. 5:10,
By
roger that.
about
Don't get the Z train by you.
2,000 tons closer than last time if you were to add up the car weight, which is significant. So I think this thing's gonna do it. I think it's gonna get up over without breaking in half. Breaking in half is bad. Okay. Oh man. Anybody gonna play the new farm simulator game coming out? Colton Wonders, he's gonna be picking that up and doing some videos on there, so keep an eye out. He should be probably one of the first to play it. So that'll be cool to see that. I have not played any of the farm simulators, but maybe I just might have to. We'll see. I think he's also going to do a review on the trucking simulator. He was a truck driver for 20 something years. Kind of similar reviews to what I'm doing to the railroads games, so that'd be kind of cool. Seems like kind of the same communities play these games, so be interested to see what you guys think of those as well. Alright, run CX. I always thought it'd be really cool to get a real control stand in the desk, basically this whole region, and to configure it to the computer so that you can actually use all of it. Especially with a game like this. It'd be really fun with the physics of this game to have the real setup. Saw a picture of a guy that's been putting his own together on Facebook. And that's pretty sweet, man. Not bad at that. If I could, that's what I would do. So this time we are 15,413 feet long, so we're actually longer, and we actually have 231 cars. 251 total. If I saw this train on the lineup, I'd lay off. Just straight up. Don't even want to deal with it. You know, take me to the board for laying off too much or whatever. Do what you want. I don't want that train. Thing would be a nightmare to run over the Cajon Pass and just on one of these western routes in general. Just don't even want to deal with it. My radio probably wouldn't even be able to be heard from the rear end of this train. It'd be so monstrous. We're rolling pretty good. 38. Definitely doing better than last time. When in doubt, add more power. should set us up pretty good for that 40 mile an hour speed right up here.
Understanding me
Always
47
wanted
right
to
after
come down to be in a
track
Steps
story number
Mojave sub. There's
777
actually a coal
southbound side
train
between
that we would get in
Depot and
Yermo,
DC
come
line
down from
213
Utah or wherever.
3 a.m.
And I think it was bound from Trona, so a Bakersfield crew would get shuttled out to Yermo. They jump on it and they take it from Yermo to Mojave Yard right up here, and they tie it down. I always thought, man, that'd be cool if they'd let us do that. Because I always wanted to see new territory, especially out in the sticks territory, which this isn't really out in the sticks. I mean, it's the middle of the desert, but there's towns here and there. It's not like you're stranded if something were to happen. Because, between working down in Colton and Long Beach, LA, all that, it's a lot of cities, and I don't care to look at the cities. I want to go through the country. I always thought doing this route over to Tehachapi would be awesome because it's very country. One time I was working the extra board in Yermo and we were patching trains. There's a bunch of crews dying coming down from Vegas, so we actually had to go out to Kelso, which is quite a ways east of Yermo by about 80 miles, I believe. And we had to get on a coal train and bring it from Kelso to Yermo, and we went through Afton Canyon, and the whole run, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's most of that route. A van can't come to pick you up because there's too much sand or it's just too rough terrain. So you're literally in the middle of nowhere. And it was just really neat. You kind of felt like the old school railroading. I can't imagine what those guys went through going through the deserts and the mountains in the 1800s, early 1900s, and all that. There was still some steam engine water towers along the route coming westbound from Kelso. So it was just really cool. Just a different vibe, and I would have enjoyed more railroading like that for sure. And then to finish it off, you climb up through Afton Canyon,
65 up.
which is really neat. There's natural springs, so there's like water everywhere. You have the old school bridges, silver UP bridges. I think they're called Warren Truss bridges. And then there's a few old, rock quarries and rock mines and stuff like that along the route that had been abandoned, but the tracks were still there, the spurs and all that. So it's just a cool vibe, and I would have really liked to have been able to do that route a few more times. That was fun. Axles 1044. So we have 1,044 axles. I didn't hear that last time. That's ridiculous. Train defect at axle 1001. I'd hold my breath if I heard that. No, let's kick on the sand before I forget. Before I forget this. Round two. Just gonna send it. Been to Mojave before. It's a really rundown old desert town. You could tell probably in the 80s it was alright, but not anymore. But that's how a lot of California towns are now. I mean, San Bernardino used to be one of the nicest towns in the United States. One of the nicest, I think it was the nicest town in all of California at one point. I mean nicest, I mean like wealthiest, jobs, all the stuff you'd look for in a city to live in. And now San Bernardino is one of the worst in all of California. And that can be said for a lot of towns that used to be awesome. No, it's a shame. But what you gonna do? Yeah, they need to tweak the sound effects on these SD70s, man. Now we're heading up the grade. I think we're on a 1%er, then it gets a little steeper here, and then I think we might be on a 2%er right there. Actually had a chance to swap seniority with a guy out of Bakersfield one time. But I decided to leave the railroad and get out of California, so that didn't happen. But we would have stayed. Definitely probably would have explored that option because I always wanted to go to Tehachapi. He was out of Bakersfield. I think he was actually working in the Mojave Yard right here. There's Mojave Yard extra board. So that would have been cool to do. Had a chance to transfer to Grand Junction, Colorado, which is something I really wanted to do, but just wasn't good timing. Wasn't ready to move yet. And I actually would have gotten furloughed not long after I would have transferred, so that would have been a bad situation. Can't just jump into decisions, guys. You gotta really think about it. Maybe say some prayers. You just gotta really try to decipher what would be a good move, literally. Gotta Can't be biased with something that you really, really want. That could definitely impact our judgment. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't make that move. I also had another opportunity to work at a short line in Salt Lake City. It sounded like it was a great opportunity. Would have been promoted to engineer pretty quickly, which is what I ultimately wanted to do. I didn't really care for being a conductor. I loved running trains. That was my thing. It was a lot of fun. At least I felt it was. I liked the mental challenge of it. But who knows, that might not have lasted very long either. So, you got these forks in the road and you just gotta sit down and weigh the pros and cons. And even though you really, really want to go a certain direction down a road, you have to make sure you take a step back and really look at what's on paper. What do we know? We can hope for all this stuff, but what do we know for sure? And at the time, it would have been a very selfish thing to do to go to Grand Junction or to go to Utah. And I chose not to make the selfish decision. And looking back on it, it was 100% the right decision. Because now I have things I wouldn't have gotten out of moving there that I have now and that I love. So patience is key. Sometimes you gotta wait even though you don't want to. So words of wisdom, I guess. So life's all about making decisions, and decisions can stick with you for a long time. So make good decisions. Think about how it'll impact other people. Stopped, passing, stopped. Alright, so we broke. Just shy of this road crossing up here, so moment of truth. That's crazy too. If I would have transferred to Grand Junction, or really just that service unit in general, I think it was the Denver service unit at the time, I would have been promoted to engineer pretty much right away out there because people can retire out there when they're eligible to retire because the cost of living is way less than in Southern California. Where in Southern California, there's guys that literally work until they die at work because they get so old and because they have to. It's so expensive. So that was another huge uh, reason why I wanted to move out there. I love the Grand Junction area, and everything seemed like it would be a great thing. But I was patient, and looking back on it, it wouldn't have worked out, to say the least. So, but yeah, if you're gonna hire out with the ambitions of becoming an engineer, whether for whatever class one railroad, hire out an area if you can that has a low cost of living, because that alone will impact whether or not you can get into the seat quicker, or it can impact how quickly you retire. so, so far, guys, rebuilding this train is working out. We made it farther. See here. Uh, so now we got EOT on the rear. That's a difference. So, as you can see, it's having a bit of a glitch because this thing's a monstrosity. But this whole train's on the grade, which is a great sign. Now, we are way too far back for me to just jump right into the seat, which sucks. This thing wasn't glitching out. Oh, there we go. Thank God. See if it'll work now. Nope, we're still too far away. Cool. So let's go airborne. So, yep, we're all on the grade. I don't know, we might not be clear of a break in half yet. Oh yeah, listen to him work. Yeah, these SD70s don't sound too hot. Sound alright. They're a lot higher pitch screaming than that. Ooh. Hold on. I'm gonna be like every guy that makes me nervous when I was at the railroad. I'm gonna take a picture from right here. Yeah, if we can improve the graphics a little bit on version 3, this game will be pamp. And maybe like a couple more free routes. That would be sweet. Doing pretty good speed. Happy about that. '18, not bad, not bad. We might have to split this into a two-parter. Second part being coming down Tehachapi. Um, yeah, I really don't want to drag this out or waste your guys' time, you know. So I try to keep these videos reasonable because I want you guys to enjoy it, you know. And you guys got a life. You don't have the time to probably watch a 3-hour video. So we'll probably get up here a little more and then probably be done with it for this episode. I am super pumped that rebuilding the train like I did worked. Should have zero issues with the grade aspect of this train now. Bringing it down the hill, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because it's very heavy. But we got a lot of drag, like I was saying. So should create some resistance. Should help us come down. I'm just interested to see how much air it's going to take or how much dynamics. Probably be quite a bit. So, well, fellas, I think I'll leave you with this. Next time we come on, we will have. Oh boy. We will have maybe another 15 minutes of grinding up this hill, maybe 20 minutes. Then we'll be home free.
They call me on one
And
south.
we'll bring it down
Out there, I got a Z train. Caliente.
into Bakersfield from this point. If we go to the map, I'm going to try to fit into this siding and then let some eastbounds pass us. That's kind of unfair, you know, like just here taking up all this space.
Won't crank or just won't
So
fire?
this should be
Won't crank.
about, oh, actually, I don't think we'll fit here. Yeah, we won't fit in there. That's sad. Because that's only 12,500 feet. Well, then I guess we're gonna be free rolling all the way down the hills, fellas. All she wrote. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Hope this was interesting. Hope maybe you learned something. And I hope I didn't waste your time. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Love any help we can get growing this channel. You know, me and my buddy are just kind of doing it for fun, but we want to do a good job, make good videos, and grow this thing. You know, so I'd like to say thank you. I'd love some feedbacks, comment what you thought of this video, or anything that's anything you noticed, any ideas you have. Um, Anything, man, drop it in there. I read them all. I enjoy them all, even the negative feedback. Hey, it's your opinion. I respect it, and I try to take it in and make adjustments if I can with it. So, thanks, guys. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Later.